Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Nemer of Wrestleview.com. This is the SmackDown Post Show number 18. Yes, number 18. We're almost at that number 20 mark. My name is Roy Nemer. Hope you guys enjoyed SmackDown. This is the Wrestleview.com SmackDown Post Show. We're going to talk about it all, the build-up to Hell in a Cell, the Roman Reigns promo, the ding-dong hello with Bayley and Seth Rollins. Obviously, we're going to take your comments as well. I see a couple of people in the chat as well. I see Quentin Walters. There you go, Mr. Quentin Walters. How are you? Thank you for joining. And I see Andrew as well. Andrew, he's the first comment, right? And Andrew says, time to acknowledge the tribal chief of Wrestleview.com. I like that. We got a comment here from Sex Machine. Says SmackDown was pretty awesome. It was. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. Like right off the bat, I'm just gonna say this: there was nothing I did not enjoy about this show. I thought it was very fun, a very easy watch. I know we kind of mentioned that often in regards to SmackDown as opposed to Raw, but it was very smooth. It was really a really easy watch. And Andrew, hello, Tribal Chief. Hello, Andrew. All right, let's get to it. First things first on SmackDown, talking about the Tribal Chief. It was the Tribal Chief. It was Roman Reigns who kicked off the show. It was him, Jey, and Jimmy. Essentially, it was that trifecta that kicked off SmackDown. So the show kicks off with the Universal Champion Roman Reigns backstage, and he's sitting and he's not happy, right? He's there with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso, and Roman tells Jey, "Look, you guys owe me one," and he asks him, "What's the one thing that I don't stand for?" And Jey tells him, "Yeah, it's embarrassing the family, right? You guys don't stand for that. We don't stand for that." And this kind of set the tone for the rest of the show. And we have Gil's fan here as well. So hello, Gil's fan. How are you? Quentin, acknowledge your Wrestleview Tribal Chief Roy Nemer. There you go. All right. But yeah, so that was the start of the show. So Roman really not happy. And as he's talking, the Usos theme song hits and Jimmy Uso makes his way down to the ring. So at this point, Roman, Jey, and Heyman are backstage and they're watching Jimmy making his way down to the ring, and they're not very happy, right? They're not happy, and neither is Jimmy. So Jimmy Uso just pretty much says, "Look, Roman, you tried to make this about you. We got screwed twice." He said, in the first one, everyone in the Thunderdome saw it in the first match versus the Mysterios. My shoulders were not down. We got screwed. And in the second match, Roman, you wanted to make it about yourself. You didn't want to see us with the gold. You always do this and this and that. So, very good start to the show. They acknowledged it, no pun intended. They acknowledged it right away. What happened at the end of last week, and they did not waste any time. And we got this kind of throughout the rest of the show. And we're gonna take a look at the chat right now. We have Mashun. What's up, buddy? How are you? Hope you're well. And state of Illinois is fully reopening. We're gonna talk about the reopenings because obviously that's gonna mean. Well, obviously we know it already, but the WWE are going to be back on the road. And Andrew says this was a good segment. I liked it. It was good. It set the tone because we were going to get a couple of these segments throughout the show, and it didn't feel heavy. It wasn't one of those like, we're getting another Roman Reigns promo or we're getting another, Usos promo. This, I said this at the start just a couple moments ago. I said this was a good watch. This was an easy watch, and that's what we got, and very happy with the opening segment. What do you guys think? Let me know. If you're watching us on Facebook, we are live on Facebook, not just on YouTube. Leave a comment. Obviously, it shows up here, and we could mention. We'll discuss everything. If you guys are on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're here a couple of times a week. I'm here on Fridays, obviously immediately following SmackDown. We have Mike and Victoria Tedesco who cover Raw. The Raw Post Show every single Monday. And trust me, you want to join in. As bad as sometimes Raw might be, that show is the complete opposite. It's on the complete opposite spectrum. Trust me. So you definitely want to check them out. So we're here Fridays, we're here Mondays, on pay-per-views. We're here as well. We're everywhere. We are everywhere. So hit that subscribe button to never miss a thing. And Quentin says, please subscribe, like, and share this fantastic channel, or else we're going to have to think of a punishment. We'll have to think of a punishment throughout this show. So this was, again, I enjoyed this, taking a look at at what I had tweeted out. Maybe it's not too clear. We'll go like this. There you go. So my initial thoughts. I said very much enjoying what they are doing with Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. This will have a great build, and I can see them pulling the trigger when the fans are back. And I truly feel that that's what they're gonna do. I really think that's what they're gonna do, or thought that's what they were going to do, just because fans are gonna be back in what, 3 weeks or just about a month's time now, and I don't see them pulling the trigger at Hell in a Cell. Obviously, when we're going to get to Hell in a Cell as the show goes on, but I don't see them pulling the trigger at Hell in a Cell, and I feel like it would be silly to pull the trigger right after Hell in a Cell, because you have that 2-week gap, right? Hell in a Cell is not this Sunday; it's the Sunday after on the 20th, and then you have about 2 weeks before fans are back. So it would be kind of silly to pull the trigger on that and not have fans in attendance. So that that's what I thought about that. And there you go. Andrew says July 16th is the first night with fans, and that will be a SmackDown. That's not going to be a Raw. So SmackDown is going to be, that show is going to be hard hitting. That's going to be must watch. This show is going to be must watch. It's going to be off the charts. That. You just know it's how it's going to be. It's the only way. It's how it's going to be when fans are back. Now, the segment after that, so we got a commercial break, and then we got Kevin Owens and Big E in a tag team match. They got the win versus Apollo Crews and Sami Zayn. This wasn't necessarily a bad match. It was good. I enjoyed it, for what it was. It was kind of two birds with one stone type of thing, where they continued the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn feud, but at the same time, it looks like Apollo Crews will still be feuding with Big E now that Big E's back. They did mention that Apollo got the win, the Intercontinental title match a couple of weeks back when Aleister Black interfered, but obviously no mention of Black there. They merely said that Apollo Crews got the win there. And if we're looking here, so Andrew, another one, he says, interesting to have Big E back in the Intercontinental title picture. I think, I'm not sure what they're going to do with Big E at this point. Obviously, they're going to stick with him. They're going to stick him in the Intercontinental title scene. But for how long? Are they going to keep it going up until the fall, or do they have him win the title and then really drag it on up until maybe Survivor Series where he loses it and then potentially wins the Rumble? Because obviously there's been a lot of ramblings going on, a lot of rumors about Big E's potential, no pun intended once more, but big push. So who knows what they're going to be doing too much with Big E. And there you go, Andrew says, especially with Black gone. So let me know, what do you guys think of this match, of this tag team match, Big E and Kevin Owens up against Apollo Crews and Sami Zayn. So Big E and Owens get the win. Sami Zayn gets the pin, right? He takes the loss for the team. It's not Apollo Crews. So essentially what happens is Sami goes for the haluva kick. Owens moves, hits him with the stunner, 1, 2, 3. Big E and Kevin Owens celebrate. And just as Andrew mentioned it just now, Andrew mentioned also side story with Sami Zayn and Apollo. So Big E and Kevin Owens are celebrating. Apollo gets on the mic. And he says, no, look, you guys kind of lucked out. The only reason you won is because I got stuck with this loser, Sami Zayn. So, such a heelish move by Apollo Crews, such a good idea to have him say that. And then Sami gets on the mic. He's like, what? This is a conspiracy. You're working with Kevin Owens. You want to keep me out of the title scene, and then this and that. And then Commander Aziz pretty much hits him with a Nigerian nail, knocks him out. But the big thing going into next week is Apollo Crews challenged Kevin Owens and Big E to a tag team match next week versus himself and Commander Aziz, and they accepted. So next week we will be having Commander Aziz making his, I guess technically his in-ring debut alongside Apollo Crews up against Big E and Kevin Owens. So that has been announced for next week. It has been confirmed. So Gil's fan, here we go. He says, I did not watch the match. Was Black screwing E out of the title at all mentioned? It wasn't. Gil's fan, very good question. It was mentioned that Apollo won. That was it. No mention of Aleister Black whatsoever. Gil's fan asks, so is Zayn going to help the faces win next week? So this is interesting. I didn't even think of this, to be honest. I did not think of, well, are they going to get Sami Zayn to interfere? What are they going to do? I would like to see something maybe, I won't say goofy, but maybe have something like Sami Zayn maybe as the potential, special guest referee or something like that, considering that he has something against all four guys, right? he pretty much hates all 4 guys. That could be fun. They could, definitely do something with that. But it's a very good point, very good question, Gills fan, that you bring up. At this point, yeah, I could definitely see Sami Zayn either interfering during the match or definitely having a say and attacking someone after the match, for sure. Gills fan says, Kevin Owens realized immediately that Cruz was going to pick Aziz. He's the only face in the WWE that isn't a dumbass. So that, yeah, they had them standing up on the ring apron. So for those that didn't watch it, you had Big E and Kevin Owens on the ring apron, and sorry, not on the ring apron. I apologize. On stage, and then you had Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz in the ring, and Apollo's just talking, and he's challenging them. He says, I challenge you guys to a tag team match against myself. And then you kind of have Big E and Owens standing, up the ramp, and you could kind of tell Owens had an idea who it was, whereas Big E was a little bit kind of lost, as if it wasn't obvious, and that's. I get it, their faces and all that stuff, but you could be a little bit sharper than that, right? You could be a little bit smarter than that. So let me know what you guys think of the match. If you're watching us on playback, right, on YouTube or on Facebook, leave a comment. What do you guys think of the match? Are you looking forward to next week's match? Commander Aziz gets his big in-ring debut right there. And Gills fan mentioning that WWE allowing Zayn to be the ref would ruin his conspiracy theories. So that could be true. Yeah, that could be true. But at the same time, I wonder if WWE isn't going to ruin the conspiracy theory themselves, because this has been going on for some time now. And I don't mind storylines, going for several months. I have no problem with that as long as the payoff is worth it. And WWE's track record when it comes to, long or longer storylines doesn't always pay off properly. So if they could get this to play it off, excellent. If they don't, I mean, it'll just have been kind of a waste of time. Taking a look, so what I thought about this match here, we're going to take a look. I said, fun tag team match. They're continuing with Apollo, Big E, and Owens, along with Sami Zayn. And next week, it's Kevin Owens and Big E versus Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. So that was, that was our first match of the night. Then we got a commercial break. And then after that, we had the Street Profits. So the Street Profits were backstage. In comes Chad Gable, and he's like, I'm sorry. I apologize for what happened last week regarding Otis. He got a little bit carried away and this and that. But the good news is I got us out of our tag team match. So very, in a heelish fashion, he's trying to get, out of it. Street Profits are not having any of it. They're not happy, and they kind of, they call him out. And Gable says, okay, well, you know what, Ford, Ford or Dawkins, I challenge one of you guys to a match tonight. Ford accepts, and Gable tells him, okay, well, me against you, and you know what? I'm going to have Otis backstage, no Otis at ringside. And then Ford says, all right, so no Otis at ringside, no Dawkins at ringside, and that match is set for later in the night. Now, before we continue with that, so Andrew says, I think Sammy just shows up and causes the match to get thrown out. I would hate to see this match end in a disqualification next week, although I could see it happening. I just would not really like to see it happening, but I could definitely see it happening for sure. For sure. So that was the segment with Gable and the Street Profits, and then we get another Roman Reigns segment. So he's backstage, and in comes Jay, and Roman's looking around. He's like, well, where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? Where's this? Where's that? And then Jay tells him, well, Jimmy's in our locker room. He's waiting for you, because if you want to talk to him, you have to go see him. Roman, not very happy about it, says, oh, your locker room. Your locker room, not ours, but yours type of thing. And Roman tells him, okay, well, I'll talk to him on my own time. I'm going to talk to him on my own time. Which leads us to our second match of the night and our only women's match of the night, which was a rematch of last week, which was Liv Morgan versus Carmella. So for the second week in a row, we got Liv Morgan against Carmella. We spoke about this last week. Last week's match wasn't bad. Liv Morgan got some offense in, even though ultimately Carmella ended up getting the win. The only logical outcome or logical result for this one would be Liv Morgan has to win, right? We tweeted about this last week. We mentioned it last week. I have no problem putting, Carmella against Liv Morgan. The only situation is you're putting two characters or two superstars, two wrestlers in the ring. Neither of them could afford to lose. So last week, Liv Morgan took the loss. This week it was Carmella. So Carmella had most of the offense in the match, kind of the opposite of last week, actually. So Carmella was kind of in control, but Liv Morgan ends up getting the win after she hits Carmella with the Oblivion. So they're tied at 1-1. Carmella's win last week, Liv's victory this week. And you just know the way things are going. There's going to be another match, more than likely, next week. And let's take a look at the chat really, really quickly here. So in regards to the segment, to the promo Roman Reigns, Andrew says it was another pretty good Roman Reigns segment. I agree. I liked it. I thought all the promos tonight were good. And Gillsman says, might as well 50-50 book these two since they will never do anything with them. And that's the unfortunate truth, right? That sadly, that is the truth, because they're going to get another match next week. And Andrew mentions it right here as well. He says it looks like we're getting a rubber match next week. More than likely, that's what's going to happen. No women's tag team champions this week. I don't even think they were on the show last week either. Natalya and Tamina. So no champions this week. Instead, we got Liv Morgan, Carmella, got the match. Let's see what happens next week. More than likely, as you guys mentioned, we will have a third match. Andrew wrote as well, sorry. He says, roster being thin, and yes, it's thin, that we're just going to get these type of matches for the foreseen future. Yeah, for the foreseeable future, I could definitely see us getting kind of a rinse and repeat type of matches, at least until the fans are back. I think when the fans are back, things are going to change up a little bit. I don't know, maybe we'll get longer matches or something. I don't know. But I could definitely see it being this way or remaining this way, at least until fans pretty much, come back. Daniel, we have Daniel in the chat. Hello, Daniel. How are you? Hope you're good. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining. And he says Jimmy and Jey versus Roman in a triple threat. So Jimmy versus Jey. I'm guessing that's what you meant. Jimmy versus Jey versus Roman in a triple threat. That could be interesting. They could definitely do something. My guess is if they were to do that, Roman probably gets the win. And regarding the women's division, well, Gilsfan says there's nobody for the tag champions to face on SmackDown. So valid point, right? Maybe that's why we did not have the women's champions on SmackDown this week, because who are you going to put them against, right? Who are they going to call out? Who are they going to feud with? No one at all. And Andrew adds to it. He says, well, we don't have any women's teams on SmackDown, so don't look for those on SmackDown. And you are right, but I'm going to add to it, we barely have women's teams on Raw. It's not just SmackDown. It's Raw. It's a WWE problem. Nothing at all for the women's division. I'm just going to drink some water here. No alcohol in this. Strictly water. All right. And Gilsfan mentions, he says, if this carries on, we might get the female Nicholas winning winning the women's tag titles. I can see that. Hopefully not, but I can see that happening. And Daniel says, wait, WWE showcasing women. Oh, it's the same women over and over again. Wake me up when I care about the women's division. I feel like, Daniel, your comments, I feel like are I think we all share the same sentiments. I think it's pretty much the same. And nothing against the women, obviously everyone's trying hard and everything, but at what point, how could you get us to care about the division at this point? That's the big question. And Andrew mentions only 2 teams on Raw if you don't count the champions. Oof. And Gil's fan, it's just the champs and Dana and Mandy, since Nia and Shayna are clearly done. So there you go. No more Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, because they're kind of separating them. Obviously, Shayna's feuding, I suppose, with Alexa Bliss. So that one is already, off the rails. And we're pretty much stuck with Dana and Mandy. Oof, not the best tag team and not the best division, but from not a very good division to something that I actually enjoyed. So from not very good to, dare I say, very good. Dare I say it? Ding dong. Clearly a typo. I can't even spell anymore. Ding dong hello with Bayley and Seth Rollins. And you know what? This is going to bother me. So I'm going to fix this up really, really quickly. Let's change it up, right? Technical difficulties, right? We are live. These things happen. So, ding dong, hello with Bayley and Seth Rollins. Here you go. I quite enjoyed this. I thought it was so well made. I thought these two have great chemistry. Was it over the top? It was just fine. It fit both of their characters. They both have this obnoxious persona. And it fit. They played off each other. I loved it. Daniel says, what? Gills fan writes, so I may be the minority here that actually enjoyed this. Gills fan says, I didn't particularly enjoy the constant laughing, but at least it was done for a reason in the end. So, and then Andrew writes, I wonder if we get a mixed tag team match next week. I enjoyed this. I thought it served its purpose, similar to what Gills fan said, in the end, the laughing, there was a reason for it. There really was. I thought it was well made. I could see how some people maybe found this annoying, for sure. I'm not going to argue with that. But for what it was, I thought it was cool. They played off each other. And it set the table, right? It set the table. And it was very obvious that when that doorbell rang and, Seth's like, oh, we've done more than enough. You've been great. Let me get this and this and that. You just knew, obviously, it was going to be Cesaro. And it was Cesaro. Cesaro beats the crap out of him. Seth's pants end up ripping off. I don't even know how that happened. I guess it was maybe when he was thrown over the chair, onto the chair. His pants ripped up, and it was essentially in his Speedos or boxers. And then, so he's gone. Out comes Bianca Belair. Bayley's in the ring, and Bianca just kind of laughs at her. And then she gets the laugh. She gets the final laugh, so to speak. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was kind of well done. So Daniel says, don't tell Mike Tedesco that name. Gills fan writes, Seth's suits get less offensive every week. It's kind of hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes it's extremely bad, and sometimes it's tolerably bad. But in the end, they're all bad, right? They're all bad. Andrew says, also fantasy booking a suit match with Cesaro and Seth. I hope we don't get that. I truly don't. And Gills fan, I'm just worried it's going to become another Bray Hardy laughing feud. I hope not. I agree with you in the sense that I hope not, but I don't think it's going to get to that just because I feel like Bianca's character has so much more to offer than just the laugh. Bayley's playing that whole heel thing where she's trying to get under his skin. So, yeah, she might be doing the laugh, but Bianca, I don't see that happening. Obviously, tonight I'm hoping anyways, was just a one-off and it doesn't happen again. But I kind of, and I say I kind of, but I did enjoy that. I really, really did enjoy that. And, I said a very fun segment. Bayley has been great lately. She and Seth have very good chemistry together. Cesaro's back. Bianca got the last laugh to two birds with one stone. It's essentially what they did, right? Literally what they did. And as Andrew mentioned, we might end up getting the mixed tag team match next week. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to get? Daniel doing a bit of fantasy booking himself. He says, I'd push Rollins for a bit after this Uso feud. You won't see Brock until next year anyway. And that's assuming Brock even comes back. And I know there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of talk, everything about, well, if Brock's going to come back, it's going to be when fans are back. And, fans are coming back, so Brock has to be returning. I don't know. That's something where I'm kind of on the fence. I love Brock Lesnar. I'm a big Brock Lesnar fan. And he could definitely, draw fans. But I feel like with everything that just happened in the past year, WWE will not have difficulties getting fans in the arenas. Just because I feel like, life is slowly going back to normal, or kind of. So I don't think they need Brock to get the fans back, although he certainly wouldn't help. He certainly wouldn't hurt in terms of getting the fans back. So who knows? Andrew says, I think Brock is done. Honestly, I think Brock is done as well. I don't see him coming back, to be very honest. Obviously, everyone knows how Brock is, or what has been reported for the past 2 decades. Brock hates the traveling and all that stuff. So having him do this, especially now, probably not the easiest thing in the world. And okay, so Daniel says, card subject to change with Brock, but just a big name. That's all. That makes sense. I agree. No, for sure. Personally, I don't think he'll be back. Would I be surprised if Brock Lesnar comes back? No. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was it for him and he doesn't come back. And as Andrew says, I mean, he hates people. It's how he is, right? It's how Brock Lesnar is. So after the ding dong hello with Bailey, we had our first male singles match of the night, which was Montez Ford, who got the win, versus Chad Gable in a botched finish. This was botched. There was no two ways about this. I know Michael Cole tried to save it. It didn't work. It did not work. The match itself wasn't bad. It was actually, I enjoyed it. A lot of reversals, some impressive stuff in the ring. Obviously, these are two very, very athletic, very gifted guys, one-on-one in the ring. So this was, you just knew it was going to be a good match. But the finish, I did not like the finish. So for those that missed it, Montez hits the frog splash on Chad Gable. But before that, right, because we had mentioned that Otis and Dawkins would not be at ringside. So you see Dawkins watching the match backstage. Otis attacks him backstage, throws him into WWE equipment and all that stuff. And then we come back to the match. So we're back in the match. Montez hits the frog splash on Gable. 1, 2, and then the referee's hand was going down for the 3, and Gable just kicks out. And as he kicks out, about a second or 2 seconds later, in comes Otis, who attacks Ford. And the referee, funny enough, calls for the bell before Otis even attacks Ford. And that was botched to no end. So let me just take a look at the chat here. Let me know what you guys thought about this. But Gills fan says Montez Ford's finisher was protected until Otis botched. There you go. It was a botch. Daniel says, "What's the Chad Gable? Shorty G? You might know him as Shorty G." Grash, we have Grash Urisa in the chat. He says, "Doug has a say we when we arrive. What do we do for Roy? You acknowledge Roy." There you go. And that's not me that came up with it. It's you guys. I'm not the self-proclaimed. I've been the unanimously voted tribal chief of Wrestleview.com. So essentially, Grash, you can just write "Hi, tribal chief," or I'll even accept "I acknowledge my tribal chief." I'll let you be creative. I'm pretty easygoing about this. There you go. So Andrew says, you acknowledge him. Kills fan, you acknowledge him, and there you go. Grash, thank you, buddy. That's right. He's the rest of you tribal chief. Thank you for acknowledging. All kidding aside, though, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. We're running through SmackDown, and we're at the part where we had a botched finish involving Otis, Gable, and Ford. Gills fan says, apart from the botch, this was the first time Gable and Otis actually looked like a serious threat. They did, because after the match ended, Otis just annihilated Ford. Annihilated him completely. Hit him with the big splash. Out came Dawkins. Dawkins got killed. Otis just took care of him. Otis went back, started beating up on Montez Ford to the point where WWE officials came out and broke it up. So they made Gable and Otis look like an actual threat, like a serious threat. It only took them about 2 months to get that done, but it's done. And who are the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions? It's Ray and Dominic. There you go. I blanked out for a second, but the reason why I mentioned that is because it's actually good, or I like the fact that we're getting a tag team feud without the tag titles involved, and this feud makes sense. The way they've built it up, what they've done with it since last week and everything, this feud makes sense. So we might end up getting this at Hell in a Cell or something, but hey, I'm all for it, right? If the tag champs cannot be there because they're doing something else, and you have another tag team feud going on, why not? And that's something that maybe Raw on Mondays could potentially do, especially considering that that's a 3-hour show and they have to fill the gap up as much as they can. Daniel, no, I will not acknowledge you. Look, that's fair. That's fair, Daniel. I'm not going to say anything. Not yet. Not yet. Gills fan says, Daniel is embarrassing the Wrestleview family. This is it, Daniel. We are a family here. We are the Wrestleview.com family. Yes, I am the tribal chief. Yes, I'm here for you guys. But at the end of the day, if you guys don't acknowledge me, there is no tribal chief. There is no you guys. There is no this. There is no show. And what a sad thing that would be. See how it is? See how it is, Daniel? This is why you have to acknowledge me. No, but seriously, guys, this is a lot of fun. I very much really like interacting with you guys and reading your comments. Back to the show, though. Gills fan mentions, yep, a non-title tag feud is rare on the main roster. It is, but they're actually doing it. And when it works, or when they do it, it's like, wow, this works. Do they know that this works? Do they know that they could do this more often on the show? Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. Daniel writes, you're Roman and we're all the Usos. You said it, not me. You said it, not me. So, it was a good feud. Despite it was a good feud, it is a good feud. It's a good match despite the botched finish. Speaking of good feuds, rather, for the fourth time in a row, I believe, I want to say the fourth, Shinsuke, I can't even spell anymore, Nakamura, obviously there's a U that's missing here, but Shinsuke Nakamura defeats King Corbin for the fourth consecutive week. For the fourth consecutive week, we got some form of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin. We spoke about this 4 weeks ago. We spoke about this 3 weeks ago. We spoke about this 2 weeks ago. We spoke about this last week. We're talking about it again. They had a good feud going between these two guys, or three if you want to include Rick. But when it gets to the point that you have a single the same freaking match every single week, no. And I get it, they're 2-2, and Adam Pearce, went on and mentioned it afterwards that, well, you guys are 2-2, so we're going to have you guys face off each other again next week for the crown. But why not just kind of have that or mention that a month ago or 3 weeks ago or after the second match? You had Corbin win the first match. You have Nakamura win the second. They're arguing over the feud. Why don't you do something about it? I tweeted about this. I said, why don't you just do like a best of 3 match or a best of 5 or a best of 7, something, anything for the crown. You could have different stipulations. You could something instead of it just being every single week. You know what I mean? At least if you mention, hey, we're going to do this, and it's going to be a best of 7 or something, you could play around with it. You could, change it up a bit. But that's not what they're doing. And Gills fan mentions it. He says the matches aren't even relevant in this feud. They just run for the crown every single time. And it's how can I put it? It's exactly that. It really is. And I like what they're doing with Nakamura, with Rick and the crown. I think it's cool. It's definitely helped him. But if you want to help Corbin, if you want to help this feud, do something about it. Mention, next week is match number 3, and the week after, the 2 after that, it's going to be match number 4 or 5, and you're going to have a stipulation or anything. Change it up. It's not what they're doing. And Andrew mentions it. He says that's the bad thing with the limited thin roster, going to have these repeat matches a lot. Absolutely, for sure, but try and change it up. And Daniel writes, there should be a limit on doing the same shit matches, but that's just me. Honestly, yes, and that's not just you. I agree, and I think everyone in the chat agrees as well. At least if you're going to do it every week or every 2 weeks, like I said, add a stipulation, let a match drag on or something, anything just to change up the vibe a little bit. But, yeah. Next up, we're almost at the main event. Roman Reigns, Jey, and Jimmy Uso are all backstage. I love this. I loved this. And I didn't love this just because of what was said. I love this because of what was said, but at the same time, now we're kind of lost in terms of, is Jimmy actually going to side with Roman, or will he side with Roman then attack Roman, or he's just going to attack Roman? Because this whole segment, this whole promo was something else. And Daniel writes, he said, Roman gives orgasmic promos. He's their top guy right now when it comes to promos, by far. I know MVP is good on Raw, and McIntyre isn't bad on Raw as well, and Orton and stuff. But Roman, consistent since SummerSlam, since last August. It's been a year now. It's been 10 months, almost a year. Roman Reigns, incredible promo. And Andrew agrees. Andrew writes, this was another good one and really has so many possibilities of how this turns out. And this is precisely the reason why I enjoyed this promo. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. At the start of the show, you could have bet your house. You probably would have said, yeah, for sure. Obviously, we're going to get Jimmy against Roman Reigns. That's a given. After this promo here towards the end of the show, you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe not. Maybe not. Because obviously these two were kind of arguing. Jay flips out on them both, says, I can't take it with you anymore, and I can't take it with you anymore. And he storms out. And Jimmy gets in Roman's face like, what? If you want to throw down, let's throw down. You want to fight, let's fight. And Roman's the calm one, right? Roman says, look, this is not about fighting. This is about family and this and this. And who's the older brother? You're the older brother. Yeah, you're twins, but you're the older one. Jay should rely on you. Instead, he's relying on me. And while you were gone, look what happened to Jay. And, Jay solidified himself as a main event player. Then you come back and look what you're doing to him. Why are you doing this to him? Such a good promo. And the entire time, Jimmy did not say a single word. Jimmy was just there. Literally just there. And, I'll read Daniel's comment. He says, Daniel says, the way he talked to Jay was fantastic. And Jay selling that is like a dad being angry at his kid. I think you mean Jimmy and not Jay. I think you kind of mixed them up. But yeah, the way it was like a father-son talk of, you messed up. Here's why you messed up. I don't understand why you messed up. And it worked. It worked. Gil's fan, he mentions Roman suddenly playing the family card after realizing he might lose Jay was fantastic. Roman is brilliant. It was everything. It was the delivery. It was the facial expressions. It was Jay. It was Jimmy. It was all three guys, all of them there. Fantastic job. This was great. I loved it. And Andrew says exactly. He said also liked, he went to Jimmy, we're not kids anymore. Because at one point in the promo, Jimmy said, it's just like when we were kids. When we were kids, you used us. And Roman tells him, why don't you realize we're not kids anymore? We're not. This is about family. You have to think with your heart, not with your brain. It's just so much good stuff out of this promo. So much. We'll get to a question from Gil's fan. He writes, is it just me that thinks it could be Jay versus Jimmy, Hell in a Cell, I Quit match? Jay tries to do what Roman did last year. After this promo, I don't know. After the promo that we just got, I don't know if we get a Jay versus Jimmy, but I feel like I think we're gonna get something out of this, and I don't know what it is. And this is what intrigued me so much about this promo is I don't know what we're gonna get. Yeah, you're right, Gil's fan. We might actually end up getting Jimmy versus Jay, brother versus brother. We haven't had that in probably Matt versus Jeff, but in WWE, when was the last time we had brother versus brother? Obviously, Brett and Owen comes to mind, but that was 25, 26 years ago. And I'm not counting Undertaker Kane, by the way. I'm talking legit brothers. Hasn't been so for a while. Daniel asks, you think we have an intervention, the show from A&E where the entire Samoan family comes together? That'd be a cool part. That'd be interesting if they play off that. Obviously, it'd be free publicity for their show on A&E, and would definitely fit this. Would definitely fit the storyline. Andrew says, I still think we get Roman versus Jimmy at some point, and Jay turns on one of them. If yes, But this all depends on what they want to do with the Uso brothers. If they want to keep the Usos together, then obviously you have Jey turn on Roman. If you want to completely split them all apart, then you have Jey turn on Jimmy. They could do so much with this feud. They could really, really do so much with this feud. It's interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I'm glad they did not pull the trigger on this just yet. I feel like they're going to extend this. They're going to keep it going for a little bit longer. As I mentioned earlier, probably until fans are back, because obviously Hell in a Cell's coming up, and we're going to get to Hell in a Cell in a second. But I could see them extending this, and who knows? Who knows? Daniel writes, Jey turns on Roman, not Jimmy. Who knows? You could be right. You could very well be right. But after this last promo, man, I'm not sure. I'm not so sure anymore. So that was that. Then we got the main event, which wasn't even a match. Once more, it was a promo. We did get a promo. It was Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and Roman Reigns. So at one point during the show, Rey was backstage with Megan. And side note on Megan, the backstage lady that they've had now for maybe 2 months or so, you could tell when that camera hits her, she kind of freezes. But anyways, so Rey speaking to her, he says, well, Roman attacked my son. That's my blood. That's my flesh. I made a vow when he was born I'd always protect him, and last week I wasn't able to. And Roman says he's a family man and he can do what he wants with his family, but he can't touch my family. And it was a good promo by Rey Mysterio. Pumped you up. He got you. He mentioned what was going to happen. That he was going to come out, and we were going to get his promo, and he was going to call out Roman Reigns and this and that. And it was cool. I liked it. And then we got to the main event. And Daniel, before we get to that, Daniel writes, Roman just beats the shit out of people like no other in the WWE since maybe Orton. And you know what? That's a good thing. Because sometimes you need that champion. You need that villain. You need that monster that's just going to attack. And not that monster that always needs someone, right? You don't... Because a lot of times the champions these days, the heels, when the champion's a heel, a lot of the time it's, well, he has to cheat to get a victory, or he needs help from his manager, or he needs this, or he needs that. Roman just flat out beats the shit out of people for no reason. And why not? He's a heel. He's the champion. He's the head of the table. Why not? And that's a very valid point, Daniel. And honestly, I definitely like it. So I got a couple of people here commenting on Megan. Girls fan writes, the new interviewer is as nervous as Dom and Aaliyah when they first showed up. And it has been about 2 months now, so still looks like a deer caught in headlights at one point. Still kind of looks like it. And Andrew says, and Megan stinks, no emotion at all. I agree with this comment here in terms of she might have been better off learning the craft in NXT. Maybe have her start off backstage there or something or anything. Absolutely. So we get to the main event. Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Roman Reigns. So Rey comes out. He calls out Roman Reigns. Out Roman comes with Paul Heyman. And Rey says, I acknowledge you. It's like, this is what you want to hear? I acknowledge you. And then you're like, whoa. Where is this going? I acknowledge you. What? And then Rey says, I acknowledge you for the rat bastard that you are. I acknowledge you as the rat bastard who put his hands on my son. I acknowledge you as the man I'm willing to fight, even if I'm going to lose the fight. And I acknowledge you that I want to fight you in Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell. So Rey Mysterio challenges Roman Reigns to a match at Hell in a Cell. He does not mention the Universal Championship. He does not at all. But Rey challenges Roman at Hell in a Cell. And on this note, Daniel asks, I think we get a tag team match, the Usos versus Mysterios on the Go Home show. Very possible. Very, very possible. I could see it happening maybe, for the third match because, we haven't really gotten a definitive winner or winners so far between these two teams. So next week, maybe the Mysterios versus the Usos could happen. It could happen for sure. Or they might drag this on a little bit longer and maybe have it at Money in the Bank in front of a crowd. Who knows? But I could definitely see them facing off the Mysterios once more. Andrew asks, so they're having the Hell in a Cell or the Hell in a Crate match with Rey and Roman. It looks like it. The challenge was there. And obviously, no, it hasn't been confirmed, but I think it will get confirmed just because Roman has nothing. He has no match for Hell in a Cell. Mysterio Mysterio and Dominic as the tag champions have nothing for Hell in a Cell. So this does fit the bill. I think we do get that at Hell in a Cell. And Andrew mentions probably end up mentioning it last minute, it being a title match. But honestly, if it wasn't, I wouldn't mind that. I kind of hope it's not a world title match, a universal title match, just because there's no point, because this is not about the title. This is about Dominic. This is about family. And Mysterio mentioned it, right? This is about him attacking Dominic. It's not about him wanting the title. So could be a non-title match. Daniel has a good idea. Daniel says Rey beats one of the Usos with the title on the line at Hell in a Cell. Also a possibility. But so what happens was, Rey acknowledges Roman, and Roman literally says 4 words. Roman says, I acknowledge you as a father, and then the camera cuts and we just get Rey Mysterio attacking Roman Reigns with a kendo stick. And I get it. I get that there are no fans in attendance. I get that we don't see Mysterio, but Roman's looking directly at Mysterio. So where did Rey get the kendo stick from? Because even Michael Cole and Pat McAfee said, "Well, where did he get the kendo stick from?" Like, I get it. You're suspending belief or disbelief or whatever, but anyways, that was a bit much for me, but it's all good. So Rey attacks Roman Reigns with the kendo stick. Roman ends up getting the upper hand. He attacks Mysterio. Roman's hyping up. He's going for the spear. And then Dominic Mysterio hits him with the kendo stick. So Dominic shows up, hits him with the kendo stick. All the while, no Jimmy, no Jay. No one comes out to help Roman or even to save Roman. Nothing like that. Roman is on his own. And Roman is getting, he's getting beat up kind of by Dominic. And then Roman lifts Dominic up. He walks, and he throws him over the top rope to the outside. And very clever camera work by the WWE, because you see, essentially, you have the camera on the outside of the ring, and you see Dominic just flying. Obviously, we don't see Dominic hit the floor, because that would have been a very, very dangerous bump from that high up down to the mat. So you could tell, obviously, it was probably like some padding or whatever it was. But very good camera work by WWE, cutting it there. And now, Roman was just on fire. Like, Roman killed it. Let's take a look at the chat here. Gil's fan says, let's get this up. Here we go. He says, it's like how Pat had to act surprised even though he could see who was behind the door in the Bailey segment. Similar to that, yeah. Like at one point, when the doorbell rang during that segment, and it's like, ooh, who's that? Now, Pat McAfee could see who it is. Michael Cole could see who it is. Obviously, they're not going to spoil it, but it was similar to this with the kendo stick. Like, where did the kendo stick come from? But anyways, and regarding the bump, Andrew says Roman sure chunked Dominic outside on the padding, which still hurts like crap. Yeah, I'm sure it was probably a significant amount of padding, but that's gotta hurt a little bit. And that was a holy shit moment. Absolutely. So Roman throws Dominic to the outside. Rey is checking up on Dominic on the outside. Roman attacks Rey. WWE officials come out. They break it up. And that was the end of the show. So Roman looked like a monster out there. He had Rey attack him with the kendo stick. He beat the crap out of Rey. He had Dominic attack him with the kendo stick. He got rid of Dominic very easily. So, and without the help of Jimmy and Jay, right? He did that on his own. So very, very good look for Roman Reigns. He has that monster look, and I think it's going to be a while before we get a new WWE Universal Champion. I truly think it's going to be a while before we get a new champion. And I mean, Daniel, I did not want to mention it, but you're going to mention it, so I'm going to read it. Daniel writes, AEW would have botched that. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying anything. But that was SmackDown. That was SmackDown here. So let's go back. So these were my, my thoughts, my tweets here. Here we go. So this was just a great promo by Roman Reigns. The entire segment was gold. The Usos have really become main event guys. And in addition, I like the ending of SmackDown. So let me know what you guys thought about SmackDown, about the ending and actually SmackDown as a whole. If you're in the chat, leave a comment. If you guys are watching us on playback on Facebook or on YouTube, leave a comment. Love to see what you guys have to say and what you guys thought about the show. So I tweeted, I like the ending of SmackDown, but that kendo stick really came out of nowhere. Nice camera work on the Dominic bump to the outside too. No Usos to save Roman Reigns, which could be a story for next week. And as a whole, for the show, I thought it was a good show with some fun segments. Everything served to build up Hell in a Cell, and I can't think of one thing I did not like about it too. It was just a fun watch. It was a fun watch. I enjoyed it. Yes, there was some stuff with the, maybe with the kendo stick and this and that, but I'll turn a blind eye to it. It's fine. I get it. Look, they have no fans in attendance. They're trying to take advantage of it. I'm not gonna nitpick, but yeah. Let's take a look. Here we go. Andrew, SmackDown was good all the way through, and again, it's 2 hours. It's an easier watch than Raw. That's not to say you guys should not check out the live post Raw show on Mondays with Mike and Victoria Tedesco right here on YouTube and on our Facebook channel, though. You guys definitely should. Daniel, I have a thing for kendo sticks, my favorite gimmick weapon, so that was a cool part. There you go. Hey, there you go, at least. And Andrew, also, I don't think we want to know where Ray was hiding that stick. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. And Gills fan, thumbs up since most things on the show had a purpose. That's essentially it, right? So aside from maybe Carmella and Liv Morgan, which we might get for a third time next week, for the most part, it all made sense. Even the crown with Corbin and Nakamura, even though it's 4 matches already. But okay, fine, served a purpose because now they're tied 2-2 and we're going to get another match next week. So that's fine. In general, I thought it was good. I gave the show a thumbs up. Let's take a look at what you guys voted on Twitter here. Let's take a look. So 82.2% gave it a thumbs up. 17.8% gave it a thumbs down. If you haven't voted already, go on our Twitter page, leave a vote. Thumbs up, thumbs down, no thumbs in the middle. We don't do that over here. It's either you liked it or you didn't. What are you leaning more towards? And 82.2% are giving it a thumbs up. All right. So this was SmackDown. We're just about a week away from Hell in a Cell. We have one more SmackDown prior to Hell in a Cell. Andrew, so there you go. Andrew writes, I'm glad Nakamura and Corbin won't be at Hell in a Cell. So the 5th match for the crown will be on SmackDown and not at the pay-per-view itself. So there you go. So we're not getting Corbin and Nakamura there. But that was SmackDown. I enjoyed it. The majority looks like enjoyed it as well. If you guys enjoyed this show, hit that like button. Like I said, we're here a couple of times a week, so definitely hit that like button. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button to support. We're on Facebook as well. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere. And what else? This is it. We're about a week away from Hell in a Cell. We're about a month away from having fans back. We're about 2 months away from SummerSlam. So a lot of stuff coming up in the WWE, on Raw, on SmackDown, everywhere this summer, right? Fans back, obviously going to be a good thing. SummerSlam, everything. So this is it. My name is Roy Nemer of Wrestleview.com. This was the SmackDown Post Show number 18. We're just 2 away from number 20. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about the show, about SmackDown, about everything. What did you like? What didn't you like? And that is it. So once more, my name is Roy Nemer of Wrestleview.com. I'm your Wrestleview.com SmackDown recapper. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Everyone in the chat, everyone watching us back on YouTube, everyone that's leaving a comment, everyone that's supporting, liking the videos. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Really appreciate the support. We're back on Monday for the Raw post show with Mike and Victoria Tedesco. They sit through Raw, so you don't have to. So you get the best of the best over on our YouTube and Facebook channel. Thank you, Daniel. Good show as always. Thank you, man. It's because of you guys. Always a pleasure. Always good. Gills fans, see you next week, everybody. Definitely have a good one. Be safe. And Monday, Raw post show. Definitely enjoy it. So my name is Roy Nemer of Wrestleview.com. And thank you for watching.